Hey there, fishing friends! Your favorite angler, always on the water, is back with another crucial forecast to help you land those trophy catches. Today, we're diving deep into the conditions for Tuesday, November 25th, 2025, across the magnificent United States of America. This day is shaping up to be a classic late autumn scenario. The fish are absolutely focused on feeding up before winter, but the cooling waters mean they will be picky. We're talking about a period where adaptability and understanding the nuances of fish behavior will be your secret weapon. Stick around because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly where to cast your line and what bait to tie on to make this November 25th a memorable day on the water. First up, let's talk about some prime targets for this pre-winter window and how to outsmart them. For our trout enthusiasts, especially those in the cooler regions and our friends heading to the stunning kettle ponds, this is your time to shine. As the water cools, trout shift into more predictable patterns, seeking comfort in slightly warmer, more stable environments. Look for them in deeper pools, along runs with current breaks, and around submerged structures like logs or rocks. If you're hitting the kettle ponds, focus on those deeper sections. For tackle, a light action rod with small jigs, spinners, or soft plastics is key. Work your baits slowly. A retrieve that mimics an easy meal is what they're after. Fly anglers don't shy away from nymphs or small streamers fished deep and deliberately. Remember, trout are often quite tolerant of colder water, making them excellent targets this time of year. Next, for those chasing the thrill of the coast, striped bass activity is often strong in late November. These migratory giants are actively chasing baitfish in larger bays, estuaries, and nearshore waters. Keep a keen eye out for diving birds, as they often signal bait balls pushed to the surface by hungry stripers. Your best bet will be targeting channel edges, depth contours, and substantial structures like bridge pilings, jetties, and artificial reefs. These are their prime ambush points. When it comes to what to throw, large, soft plastic paddle tails, swim baits on jig heads, and bucktails are traditional winners. Work them with a retrieve that mimics a fleeing baitfish. Also, live lining eels or trolling with umbrella rigs down deep can be incredibly effective, especially as fish move to deeper sections. Now, for our friends in the southern coastal and Gulf regions, redfish are going to be a fantastic target. As water temperatures finally drop into the 60s and 70s Fahrenheit, the water often becomes clearer, and these fish start schooling up in the shallows. This creates fantastic sight fishing opportunities on sunny, calm days. Target grass flats near oyster bars, grassy potholes, and even deeper boat docks and channels. Live shrimp, pinfish, or croakers on a Carolina rig or under a popping cork are traditional winners. For artificials, soft plastic shrimp imitations fished very slowly are a must-have right now. And for the always popular largemouth bass, they're in full pre-winter feeding mode. While earlier in fall they might be schooling aggressively, by late November they can scatter a bit. You'll want to look for them holding closer to the rocky edges of banks in reservoirs and lakes. In smaller, grassier ponds and bogs, stick to the deeper water. The key here is slow-moving presentations. Jigs, soft plastics, and even slow-rolled crankbaits can entice a bite. Remember, they're fattening up, but they're conserving energy in the cooler water, so patience is your best bait. All right, let's break down the conditions for November 25th, 2025 across the United States. Weather-wise, we're anticipating a generally cool, crisp fall day across much of the country. Air temperatures will likely hover around a high of 9 to 10 degrees Celsius or 48 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit in many central and eastern areas. Northern states will see temperatures closer to 0 to 10 degrees Celsius, 32 to 50 degrees Fahrenheit, with the possibility of some light precipitation, maybe even a dusting of snow in higher elevations. Southern states, however, will remain much milder, with temperatures ranging from 20 to 30 degrees Celsius or 68 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit, often with clear skies. Atmospheric pressure will likely be a bit variable as we transition further into late autumn, and while specific wind forecasts aren't out yet, expect the typical crisp, light winds that can pick up throughout the day. What does this mean for the fish? Rapidly cooling temperatures and variable pressure can make fish seek deeper, more stable water, potentially leading to a slower bite, but clear skies can also activate shallow feeders in sun-warmed areas. Regarding our water temperature, we're seeing a clear cooling trend across the entire country. In many rivers and northern lakes, surface temperatures are dropping into the mid-40s Fahrenheit or 7 to 8 degrees Celsius, and even colder in far northern regions. Coastal waters, as always, vary widely. For example, Florida's coast might still be around 75 to 80 degrees Fahrenheit or 24 to 27 degrees Celsius, while the Pacific Northwest and New England coasts are much colder, in the 50s and low 60s Fahrenheit or 10 to 16 degrees Celsius. This falling water temperature means fish's metabolism slows down. They're still feeding, often heavily, but they're less likely to chase. They'll concentrate in areas where the water is most stable and comfortable, usually deeper structures or current breaks. Now about our celestial companion, the set moon phase. On November 25th, 2025, is a waxing crescent. It's about 5 days old with an illumination of around 21 to 30%. Many old-timers believe that fish activity remains fairly high during phases influenced by the moon, particularly around tide changes in saltwater, even when it's not a full moon. So don't discount its subtle influence, especially if you're fishing tidal waters. Overall, my friends, the more biological activity for fish across the United States on this day is going to be high. It's that beautiful autumn transition where many species are actively feeding, migrating, and getting ready for the colder months. The cooling water concentrates fish, making them hungry, but also a bit particular, demanding a slower, more deliberate approach. So my clear assessment for November 25th, 2025 is a good but capricious bite. The pre-winter feeding drive is strong, but the cooling waters and potentially variable weather conditions mean you'll need to be adaptable and persistent. The fish are there, they're hungry, but they're making you work for it. There you have it, fellow anglers, my detailed forecast for November 25th, 2025. I wish you all nothing but bent rods and screaming reels. Ni vosta, ni cheshwi, as we say. If you found this forecast helpful, please hit that like button, subscribe to the channel for more expert tips, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And tell me in the comments below, what are your plans for fishing this late November? What species are you targeting, and what's your go-to lure when the water gets cold? I love hearing your observations and experiences. Until next time, keep those lines wet and those spirits high.